So welcome to today's podcast. I'm Kathleen Starhall with Hillshire Media, where we have the pleasure of speaking with Jin Lan.
Yes.
Sarah? Okay, great. Thank you. About your book, Awakening.
Yes.
Very exciting. So the journey to awakening. What can you tell us about the personal challenges you faced in 2020 and how they led you to explore the law of attraction?
First, thank you for having me, Kathleen. In the early 2020, I was newly divorced and unemployed, and I have 2 slipped discs in my spine. Mm-hmm. And, many things were not very happy happening at the same time. And so it's just like a chain of the bad things happened, but right. Then I feel like I have no idea what to, and so I feel like all the doors shut down for me, and I felt like there was no exit.
Right.
So, yeah, and then a chain of events happened to me, like the mode of my life changed from the survival mode to the abundant mode. And so I think the revelations I received from those events can be very valuable to the people who have the same experience like I had before. And I think it applies to everybody. So I think I would write this book because I believe that each one of us can do the same thing.
Yeah, I've been trying to do it myself, and it's a struggle to find the right, I guess I'm trying to find the right words, the right path to go, to be able to follow, because there's so many different ones out there when it comes to the law of attraction. So how did you first come across the concept of the law of attraction, and what were your initial thoughts on it?
The first time I heard about it was from YouTube. Interesting. So I feel like I call YouTube my YouTube university because I learn everything. Also, when I was so limited, I had no access to the other way, right? So the farthest I could get out of my life was my cell phone. So I use YouTube a lot. And so the first time encountered the law of attraction was, I think her name is Abraham Hicks.
Abraham Hicks.
My English is not my first language, so I'm not so fluent, but I will try. So I think her own name is Esther Hicks. Abraham Hicks is like the bigger her, like her higher self. Then Esther is the smaller version of her. So in the beginning, I did not notice her name Esther. I only know Abraham Hicks, right? And because she advertised that way, and from the first lecture I heard, I was very impressed. I felt something very deep, very profound, very grand there, but I had no idea how to grasp it because I had any experience with any religious teaching or any spiritual teaching. Because I grew up in an atheist society, so my mind was very confined in the 3D or 4D dimensions. So I had no idea how to get out. So it was fascinating, but I had no idea what exactly the law was. She repeatedly mentioned the word, the law of attraction says this, the law of attraction says that, and I had no idea what it was. So I did thorough research. I spent many months to do the research on this topic. And eventually I clicked. Yeah.
Okay. So is that how her teachings resonated with you?
Yes. Especially, one thing I get from her very valuable was she said one thing very important. She says, only talk about the things you want. Don't talk about the things you don't want. And this is especially valuable for me, especially for and later I met my now husband. By the time I listened to her lecture, I was single, right? No, not dating anybody. But without her advice, even I met a perfect man like my husband now, I could not handle it. Especially, we're very different. He's a liberal, very, very left side of the liberal. And then I'm newly becoming a conservative. So we could have a lot of argument and upset each other if I did not follow her advice, because the mind will keep arguing, right? And then her advice is only talk about the things you want and don't talk about the things you don't want. So it many times it stopped our arguing right in the middle. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So I like hearing that it's like to stop thinking about what you don't want and think of and try to focus on what you do want. Does that also go for don't focus on what you don't have?
What don't have? You don't want what you don't have. You don't want the idea of I don't have this, I don't have that, right? You don't want to have this idea in your mind to make you believe I don't have this, I don't have that.
Okay,
so you want to have a happy mood first. You first need to. The thing she was teaching was like we all have actually all the power to manifest what we deserve.
Okay.
But the problem is we are not having the right method to manifest, to attract what we want in our life. So,
changing the mindset.
What?
Changing our mindset, getting rid of the words can't and don't.
Right. Yeah, that's I think that's the most valuable things I get from her. She taught a lot. But because I was kind of feel like I was hungry in this area, right? So then I started a lot of the other area, try to see if there is any other teaching are doing the same or towards the same goal or prove each other that's scientific, right? Because my mind is constantly trying to find the scientific evidence to prove that's valid.
Okay. So now I understand that your journey on this also went with Rhonda Byrne's book, The Secret. How did that contribute to your understanding of the law of attraction?
I think the best thing she did was two things I get from her very valuable. Although some of the things that I did not digest, like you just need to envision you have $1 million check in front of you and then ask the universe to give you, then it will show up. I did not digest that. I believe there is a lot more work to do than that. But two things she mentioned are really very valuable to me, especially I did not have, any clear concept in this area, right? So she made the what Esther said in more detail, right? So I appreciate that a lot. They both are brilliant, but at Rwanda, she has pointed out in more detail. So she says that the universe communicates with images. So when you envision something in the mind, and then that image will synchronize with the other people or other places that have the same, then they will synchronize with you. Then you will be delivered what you want. So it is more deep than this simple statement. So I wrote more detail in my book to, just break her statement in more detail. So to show how that's possible.
Okay, yeah. So you broke it down more and gave it more information and structure to what she said. In more detail. You gave more detail to what she was already saying.
Not exactly what she's saying, just break down how that could be possible if you do not go through the minor, the smaller steps. If you don't do the smaller steps, you just jump to the conclusion, I envision a $1 million check, it will show up. It's not like that.
Oh, okay. So
it can, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's fine. So, and later I also realized that after I studied many other areas, I realized that sound also work, not only images.
Okay, so sound plays into it as well.
Right, sound. Actually, it's three things: sound, image, and also the consciousness. Yeah, the three way. But because most people are not trained in the consciousness way, so the way that everybody can do is sound and image.
Okay. So can you explain the three pivotal truths of the law of attraction as you understand them?
Yes. I might not explain in very detail, but the rough idea I can give you. So the first one is thoughts are vibrational. Yeah, vibrations or you call it a vibrational energy, because they share the same interference patterns like waves, right?
Okay.
And for example, lovers build up each other, and fighters destroy each other, like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then the second one is likes attract likes. So you like tennis, I like tennis, we go play tennis together. And
okay.
Yeah, so it's like that. The people like the same thing, like the folks audiences like folks, and the CNN audiences like CNN. So they don't communicate with each other very well, but the same group of people, they can party together, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's the same kind of, it's actually very simple when you think more about it. It's very simple. Yeah.
Kind of tears down the old adage of opposites attract. They don't.
They can attract for a while, but if you want to keep a connection long, they don't keep that long if the other one or one of them don't give up and sink. Yeah. So okay. If you put those, if you put those
pendulum,
right? So if you put one there, and if you put a bunch of there, you start one and you start a bunch of them, then eventually they will vibe at the same frequency.
Oh, okay.
Even though they started differently with a different frequency, different wavelengths or what, but eventually they will change to be the same. Yeah.
Eventually they can sync.
Yes. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah.
As long as one gives to receive. Gives into receiving, so that way they can sync.
Eventually one of them will give in. Usually it's the the lower one give in.
Okay.
Or sometimes it's the higher one. He tries the higher. When I say higher, is not the higher frequencies. When I say higher, it means a wider bandwidth. So the wider one means the wiser one has a wider bandwidth. So this person can, adjust himself or herself to communicate with the narrower bandwidth. So then they think first, then the wiser one lead the other one to expand bandwidth. Yeah.
Okay. So can you explain the double slit experiment and its influence on your perspective on the interconnectedness of the universe? Because I would love to know more about the double slit experiment.
The double slit experiment, it did not change my perspective on the interconnectedness of the universe. It helped me to understand why fighting what's wrong is unwise. So you look at the world and see where other people are thriving and where other people are fighting endlessly. And so the thriving people are those who are open-minded, right? So then they would work together to find solutions to do something constructive to the world. And then the fighting people are those close-minded. They cannot see any other way to live. So they just stay in the mindset so they just focus on the fight.
Okay.
So what really influenced my perspective on the interconnectedness of the universe is Qigong, actually, because it can change. It can use a mind power to change things like million miles away. That is like exaggeration probably, but I do know people can change them. Change things like thousands of miles away. That's true. Yes.
By using Qigong?
Yeah, actually it's just using mind power. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They can do that is because the whole universe is connected.
Right.
As one, right? It's just normal people did not practice that, then you don't know how to use your own mind power, but everybody has this function in it.
Oh, okay. It's just being able to tap into that is based on what frequency you're vibrating at, right? Would you say that?
Right. It is. Just the people who have a high frequency, usually they have just a much wider frequency. Much wider bandwidth, right? So they are from say near 0 hertz to 100 hertz, like that. And ours probably in a very narrow, small portion of it. Maybe 10% or even could be less than 10% of them. Yeah.
Now, in your book, you've mentioned Miss Sun Chulin's life science research. Can you share more about her abilities and how they impacted your beliefs?
Oh, okay. So Miss Sun Chulin, she is an outstanding life science researcher from one of China's top university in Beijing. She's a Qigong master and she has extraordinary mind power. And she could use her mind to change things physically, chemically, and biologically in incredibly short time or thousands of miles away. So there are many videos of her lab experiments and some interviews on the internet. And I cited them in my book.
Okay. So her life science research, it can literally use that to literally change, like helping cure yourself of illnesses?
Yes, you can cure yourself and or cure the other people's illness also. For most of the sickness, you can do that. But what she did was not only heal, is a lot more than just healing. Healing is just a very basic function of her power. Yeah. She has like a 60 different way of changing things.
As now you've been an advocate at a homeless shelter, how did your role as an advocate shape your views on resilience and transformation? How did that come about?
Oh. So watching people suffering at the edge of survival is painful and scary. Especially my own situation was not much better than theirs. So it urged me to look for exit. So when I did escape that life, I realized that all of us have the power to change our life to the better, and everyone should try this path. And this is a path to wisdom. And when we have wisdom, we will have abundant solutions, much more solutions than problems.
Okay.
So that is my a kind of promotion for wisdom for my book. Yeah. The book is for the purpose to want people focus more on wisdom instead of intelligence.
Oh, okay. Now, yeah, that's something that I've been learning, that there's a difference between wisdom and intelligence. A lot of people try to combine the two, but they are two totally different things.
Totally opposite. I did not know that until actually the last year's study, right? So for this book, I studied a lot. And then some wise person broke it down very, I think in very accurate language. So he says, intelligence is knowing the ability to know the differences. And then wisdom is about ability to know the similarities, right? So that means intelligence is our left brain, is the judging mind that keep analyzing, reasoning, right? And that's what our mind doing and cannot stop. And wisdom is knowing the similarity, which is what? Which is compassion, which means when you have compassion, you can accept, or your vibration can reach much broader radius, and then you understand more, and also then any other people's intelligence or knowledge or resource can become yours. But if you do not have that compassion, then you do not have the access to the other dimensions. So then you narrow yourself in a small world. That's what I did to my own life. When I was younger, I was very relaxed. I was not as intelligent. I did not go to college. So my life was thriving, and I had a very abundant young life. But after that, I was searching for education, because I thought, that was a pity I did not have the higher education. So I worked very hard to develop my intelligence. But actually, that's the developed intelligence put me in a small world, could not see any other way. And that was very hard to get out. Yeah. So this I need to thank Esther, because she was teaching how you can relax the mind so you can hear your heart.
Oh, okay. Now, during the time, during COVID-19, you worked in the shelter. How did that affect your outlook on life? working in the shelter during COVID-19?
Oh, the shelter was well built, like a brand new 3-star hotel. Each family is given a room and given some necessities, but they can be kicked out anytime if they break the rules. And there was a beautiful young dancer, and she was kicked out during the very cold, icy cold winter. And she was only given a few hours to leave the place, right? So, and she had a baby just like 2 months old, less than 2 months old, right? Yeah, and she was a single mother with a little baby, and she was kicked out. So she had no place to go. So she brought her all belongings to the, those homeless people camp in the Truckee River, by the side of the Truckee River. They can't live there. So she brought everything there, and but she could not support the baby, not that way, right? So she was giving her baby to her foster mother. This girl was kind of adopted by a foster family. So she walked out without the belongings, and she went to her foster mother. When she came back, that camper, the homeless friend, took all her belongings and the tent away, ran away. So she lost everything. And it was very cold, and she was only with her sleeping dress and her sandal, right? So she walked for hours to my workplace. And that's the home shelter I was working. I work in the evening. So she walked all the way until midnight. She found me to ask me to give her some money. And I did not have much money. I just gave her what I have. And I gave her my down quilt pillow and some sweaters to her, right? And watching her leave, a beautiful girl, very beautiful girl. And then I feel like my heart wrenching. But then I feel like I couldn't change her life. And I could not tell her what to do because I had no idea. And things like this, like every so often, almost every week or other week, things like this happen. Every time when it happens, my heart ache.
Yeah.
So, and then I was thinking, I could become like them any day.
Right.
And actually, it later happened to me. But good thing is by that time, I already found the law of attraction. So then I focus on myself to make myself to be the light. So I changed my life. But before I saw them, things like this happening, I did not have the surge. I was still using my mind trying to figure out, I maybe do this, do that. And I tried every way for like many years. I had been trying all kinds of things. None of them work. And so I was like shut down every door for me that my mind could not think. So it's when the mind could not think, then the intuition kicked in and then gave me guidance to me to show what I should do. Very interesting.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, I'm loving this, and I'm looking forward to taking all the information in your book and trying to put that into practice, because it's been something that I've been working on for a while now with the help of my friend, who's a lot more awake on this type of journey than I am. Now, you said that you have a couple of slip discs. How did you manage the physical pain while navigating other challenges?
I think what I did, the pain is like a word me that I need to focus on my own well-being instead of worrying about something else, such as politics, right? Like before, I was like reading politics every day and argue with anybody who wants to argue. And so my mind was not focused with inside of myself and just like wasted my energy. And then when the pain happens, that reminds me I need to focus on myself. Not only that, I need to focus on the immediate present. So I counted each survived day as a victory. So although all the doors were shut down for me, I knew I was about to give up. So people outside of me did not know I was experiencing so much pain and stress and kind of, the feeling of a failure. And as a proud person, I feel like I do not allow any other people to see me as a failure. Right. So I feel like, no, I have to find a way to exit this situation. Yeah, now, the wrong way was that I thought I could figure out from my mind. The mind can never help you. No, have to put the mind down. Have to learn how to relax the mind.
Were you able to use, what you were learning to be able to help control your pain?
It's not control the pain. The more you focus on the pain will be more pain. It's not to focus on the pain. It's focus on immediately what's more important, right? So it's like, okay, I need to eat. So I focus on making the food, right? Mm-hmm. Immediate, each step, what's important on the food. Okay, now I feel like the more important thing is I have to be able to breathe, right? And then the breath is more important for me than the pain. You focus on other things that's more nurturing or your life depend on it. You focus on that thing instead of the pain, because the pain is, no matter you have a pain or itch, the more you pay attention to it, you give more energy on that problem, then it will become worse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I was doing those exercise to change to heal myself. So I focus on each movement, and I envision when I become healthy, what I will be like. Right.
Okay.
So focus on that. Don't focus on the pain. Yeah.
Okay. So in other words, change the focus so that way you change the perception and it becomes less by changing your perception and focusing on other things.
Right.
So the pain becomes less.
Build my muscles. So when the small muscles around the spine, when those small muscles become stronger, then it lifts the pressure from this disc, so that this can touch the nerves and the pain will disappear.
Oh, okay. Now,
and that's the thing the doctors can't help. Is doctor giving me shots, giving me a lot of things to do. It doesn't help.
So what led you to believe in the potential of the law of attraction despite your initial skepticism?
I think there are three things. The first thing is the double slit experiment. Mm-hmm. So I know that if you synchronize with another wave, right, and then you will become stronger. Your amplitude doubled. So I understood that. It's also very good. I actually was reminded by another TED Talk lecture. Someone was talking about the double slit experiment. I did not have this pop out from my mind. So it's inspired by that lecturer. I forgot her name. So bad. It's a very beautiful, wise woman. Yeah. And then the second one is quantum entanglement. And the third one is the practices of Qigong and the Buddha Dharma and the prayers, right? And also before the last year's studies, and I mentioned a chain of events happened. I did not know the relationship between prayers and meditation or the qigong. I did not connect them together. So after I watched those life science studies, then I understood why they work. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So can you share more about the influence Esther Hicks on your journey?
Sure. So as a lifelong atheist, it's hard for me to recognize God because I learn everything through the experiences of my six senses. So if I recognize the experience, I can't believe.
Okay.
So Esther, I mentioned that she taught me how to relax my mind and experience the vibration of my heart. I mean, not the heart beating, but kind of an inner voice from within, right? So she was doing this and I followed her. That's very important because my mind made me to believe that I was just this body and I could not hear my own heart. And she said that you are not a drop of water in the ocean. You are the ocean. So I was supposed to feel the vibration of the ocean instead of just feeling the drop of water.
Okay.
So I employed her teaching in the process of writing this book, and it amazed myself every day. As you know, that English is not my first language.
Oh, it's okay.
So, yeah. So it's even very challenging for me to write such a profound topic in Chinese. But during the process, I wrote like a pro. I was excited every day. Yeah. And I could not believe I finished it in less than 1 year. My first book took me like a decade to finish. Yeah. And then also during this process, when I was writing, all the needed information and the resources just naturally flew into my life. It's like downloaded into my life to serve this one purpose.
It was easy to find the resources. It made it easy finding the resources for it.
Not I'm finding them. I did not find them. They just come to me.
They just came to you.
Right.
Okay.
Naturally, very, very strange. And since my new life became better than I ever could dream of. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the magic since I think since the I think after first is from Esther, then after Rwanda, then I started to see the magic happen to me like very frequently. Yeah.
So now, Ken, your husband, how did his entry into your life in July 2021 shape your understanding of love and the law of attraction?
By the time I met Ken, I already had the knowledge of the law of attraction. So I was also trying to learn meditation. I was trying to learn the transcendental meditation. I bought this very thick book to read. And after I finished this big book, I still do not know how to meditate because it tells you like a million reasons and a million results. I mean, good things about it, but it does not teach you how to do it. So I hold myself for so long. I know it's good, but how do I do it, right? So I was doing all the research on YouTube, on other resources everywhere, try to learn. But I could not keep very long. I could do a little bit. And then until later, when my father was having an accident, that was the time I became serious.
Okay, so So there is a method to learning how to meditate, because I try to meditate and I've been finding that, and I find it difficult sometimes to meditate.
It's difficult for everyone. There are many ways. In the Buddhist teaching, it says it has 84,000 Buddha Dhammas, 84,000 ways to help you to do this, right? Which means everybody does it differently. And if this doesn't work, try another way, but find a way you feel it's most suitable for you, and then you stick with that way. The way to build a habit is to do it at the same time every day. Like,
okay,
same time after you have a coffee or after you wake up, at the same time. You can start with very short time, like 2 minutes. Yeah. In the beginning, it was hard to do, like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like I count my breaths like in less than 20, then my thoughts took me away. Yeah.
Okay. So now, how do you reconcile your scientific background with the metaphysical aspects of the law of attraction?
I think the law of vibration and the double slit experiment, these two things helped me to bridge the gap between science and the law of attraction. The law of vibration states that everything in the universe is in motion, so your thoughts is not exceptional. And then the double slit experiment made me confident that bigger dreams can be achieved by synchronizing with like-minded people.
Okay.
Yeah, like now you and I, we are communicating, right? And
right.
Yeah, if we don't have the same interest, we would not sign up for this task.
Right. No, and I'm taking all of this in, because this is stuff that I need to learn, to go on this path, because that's what I'm trying to accomplish. Now, did the pain that you've been going through with your slip disc, was there a role that it played in your journey towards your spiritual awakening?
Yes. I think every step was the pain directed me. And the huge pains stopped me from thinking and allowed my intuition to guide me towards spiritual awakening and self-realization. And when I mention spiritual awakening, I mean I eventually connected to the source of wisdom. I thought I had wisdom before, but I didn't. And that was why I experienced so much pain and felt limited, right? And when you felt limited, it's very painful, right?
Right.
As long as I wasn't painful enough, and then I would keep thinking and trying in the wrong direction, because you feel like I'm a smart person, I can figure it out, and you will keep
right.
And the thinking will not lead you to the right way. The right way is to stop thinking. So, but stop thinking is impossible for us. That's why we need this meditation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when you meditate, when you slow down the thoughts, and between the thoughts, then the intuition will kick in. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So work on extending that meditation time to be able to shut off the thoughts, because the thoughts are what?
Yeah, completely shut off is impossible, but as long as you can keep the gap longer and longer, and then as long as you have a gap, then the intuition will come in.
Okay, so quiet the noise.
You know it's not from your thoughts. It's not a thought. It's very different. Okay. When you have it, you will know. Then you will have a aha.
Okay. Can you tell us about the profound events at the end of 2022 that shifted your perspective so dramatically?
Yes. So in the end of 2022, actually it's the saddest time of my life, because my father passed away due to an accident. So it's very hard. Anyway, so when he was in the hospital, I could not get there. And then the hospital told me, and my brother also told me that he was put in the ICU. And then it made me all anxious. And I was in the process of applying for the emergency visa and, book the air tickets to go back. But I could not do it right away because the costs of the air tickets and the quarantine was very expensive, right? If you want to do the second day or second, third day, whatever, those were like I could not afford. So I thought, well, even though I was an atheist, I would invite anybody, any magical power, any God, any spirit to help. So I asked my old friends, please pray for my father and please do whatever religion you are, use your own way to help my father. And also when he was in the hospital, he was shut down and then there was no food for him, right? So I was so anxious, but I could not help him. So I searched from the internet and I found this Avalokitesvara's mantra. All money, buy my home. All money, buy my home. Yeah. So before that, I never tried any mantra. And I could not believe how can a mantra do anything, make any difference, right? You're doing here and something is there. I had no idea. But by this time, I was kind of, well, it maybe works. If a cell phone can receive, can talk, can see from so far away, maybe mantra works, right? So it was like, I wish it work or any other religious teaching it might work. Please help, right? So I did this and I invited the other people to help. And then so I started to chant this mantra every day. And also by that time I could not sleep every night. My heart was like shaking, like shredding every day. So I was doing this every day. And I thought I was doing for him, but eventually I realized that didn't the good for me benefited me much more than it helped my father. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how much he gets, but I know I get. Yeah.
So it helped you more than it helped him, you would say?
Yeah, I feel so. I don't know. I hope he did. Some other people say he did, but I don't know because I could not communicate with him with language. So, one thing is I know when he was in the hospital, I know he was helped. As he was shaking every time when the nurses touched him, moved him, he was like shaking like that. And then every time I jumped to him, I hold his arm, and he was like not only shaking, he was like cramping, right? That's very hard for him. So I hold him, and then I chant this. I chant this like in just like a few minutes, like in 5 minutes, he would calm down. Probably sometimes 2 or 3 minutes, he calmed down. Okay. Kind of keep doing it, then he calmed down and not shaking. Yeah.
So you were eventually able to get to him, to be by his side?
Right. I did eventually. It took me several weeks to get to him.
That's good.
Yeah. So it's so bad. That was a heart-wrenching experience. I can't even talk into this too much. It's just too.
Yeah, I understand. I lost both my parents years ago, and it's still hard to talk about. Now, how did you bridge the gap between science and mysticism in your life?
Before it had a huge gap. It's like impossible to bridge it. And then it's that flood of information of science studies, life science studies, they kind of inspired me and also convinced me that there is this ultimate truth, and those abundant evidence through the highly credible institutions. I believe those studies are not made for any purpose of religion, because China is a Communist Party lead government, right? So they are not promoting any religion, and they are science believers. So they sponsored those universities to do those life sciences studies. I think they are for the purpose to try to find the scientific answers why such miracles can happen. Yeah. So I think it's those studies, the evidence convinced me, and then there is no more gap. And I think the thing that made me understood is that the experiments they showed proved that consciousness is in everything.
Okay.
I could not believe that before. Yeah. But once you understood that, then everything else makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. That's a totally different concept than what I thought of before, but it's something new to look at. Now, once you embraced the law of attraction, what would you say were the most striking changes in your life once you embraced it?
I think the most striking change is that I no longer pay attention to politics. Like before, I read politics every day and talk about it, almost every day, right? And now I only read the titles in the news, and I don't look into the detail. Rarely talk about politics. Oh, we still do, but not very frequent like before, like once every day. Now probably every once a week. And also I do not engage with like a long discussion with anybody about politics anymore, because now I feel like I understood why it's like that.
Right.
And anyway, so then I don't participate. Another change is that after embraced the law of attraction, almost every good thing I envisioned, it became my reality, or the reality is even better than I imagined. So I think the reason why I had such a limited life, and then more limited before, is because I lost my, I think it's ability to relax my mind.
Yeah.
So the things I could imagine were like almost those practical problems in my life. And the more I thought about them, the more they happened. Yeah, so everything you worry about it, everything happened. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've struggled with a lot with that. So I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was a very compassionate person. I'm still is, maybe even more, because I now become more open, more relaxed. I'm a Pisces. Pisces are more compassionate because we have every other science feature inside us. So somebody else's pain, I feel more pain in myself.
Right.
So, but before, so I saw the pain, then I worry about that pain, and then I try to help, then I focus on that pain. But now I do it differently.
That's what I'm trying to find is to do it differently.
Yes. Switch channel.
Changing channels. They need to learn how to change channels.
Yes.
How did the teachings of Buddha influence your understanding of self-sufficiency and awakening?
So before I learned the Buddha's teaching, I thought that my life is just the body. It will end when the body is dead. And I did not know that I am much more than my body. The Buddha's teaching helped me to understand what my true self is self-sufficient. It's the same like what we said about the meditation. So the teaching, the Buddha's teaching is kind of give you 84,000 ways to let your mind to relax, to rest. And then so your true self can shine. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like the true self is like a mainframe computer, right?
Okay.
And then so we are on the terminal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's not that we are just the computer disconnected with a mainframe. It's like every computer has access to all the information in that mainframe computer, as long as you have the password. And the Buddha's teaching is give you those passwords. And you do it. You remember your password, and then you will go there.
Yeah. So, how would you put the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism into relation to the law of attraction?
Actually, the Buddha's teaching is not focused on manifestation, right? It's not.
Right.
But by doing it, your life automatically become abundant because you get rid of the negative thoughts. They're teaching the Four Noble Truths is to tell you how your life can only be bitter, be bad, if you keep the way you do, and it will be worse and worse. And he wants you to know the Four Noble Truths, so you change it. You learn the teaching, you practice it, and then you obtain wisdom. Then you're out of the bitterness. Then you do not have to suffer. Then you can be totally free and wise, right? But his purpose is not to teach you how to manifest, but that's a side product.
It's a byproduct.
Right. It's a byproduct. Yes.
Okay. So
there are a lot of people, because their ego is very driven, so they want to be Superman or do some, miracle things. But those kind of focus can lead you to the wrong way. Yeah.
Okay. So one final thought, and this is like really important to me. So what advice would you give to someone struggling to believe in the power of the law of attraction?
Well, we cannot change anybody else but ourselves. So the only advice I have is just keep an open mind and try. It won't hurt. But there is no way you can change anybody else. You can't change you. Change yourself is so difficult. So don't imagine to change your spouse or kids or friends or some strangers or people from another country. It's impossible.
Okay.
So the Buddha's teaching is like you change yourself to be the light. And then when your surroundings see you shine and then they want to be like you, then you can like them. Right. It's like that. But there is no way you can change them. Right.
Okay.
But open mind, just relax and observe our thoughts to identify the voice is from our ego.
Okay.
Heart. From the ego, it's emotional. If you are emotional, that's from the ego.
Okay.
So if you're angry, upset, or overexcited, those are from the ego. If it's from your heart, it makes you tranquil, peaceful, and just like very stable. Yeah,
Okay, so
and very sure.
So, what would you suggest on helping getting away from ego that controls those things that, that, like you said, you're angry or emotional, that's ego, which I know ego plays in keeping you from being awake and moving into a higher bandwidth of vibration. How do you, is that through more meditation? How would you suggest, getting through that?
I think it's from meditation, and also the meditation is not only the way you sit there, right? And you can meditate through the things you are doing when you are walking, when you are doing something that's repeatedly doing. That is a meditation too. Okay. So it's just pay attention to observe your thoughts. Ego is there for a reason, is to protect our body. Right. And but if we don't have ego at all, we can just when we lose an arm, we don't know, right? So we need ego to protect our body, but too much of it, it could be very bad.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for your time today. I look forward to being able to talk to you again. We'll make sure that we will send over a copy of this recording to you. So thank you again, and I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to, like I said, trying to implement what your book has and to helping me on my journey. So I do appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. And for in the next time, we can talk into more depths. And today, it's the first time for this. I'm not very comfortable. So, okay. Yeah. So I will try to do better.
Oh, no, you did great. I really appreciate your time. This has been very helpful, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.